Sefer Ha Tania. We're in the middle of Perek Yudaled, page Kuf Tzadik Gimel, the second column. Dibur HaMatchil Ach Afal Pichen. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, so let's just review a little bit what Perek Yudaled was talking about. In Perek Yudaled, the Tanya is telling us that the avodah of the Benoni is something that everybody has no excuse and has to strive for. Shekol adam yachol liyot benoni bechol et ubechol sha'ah. And he explained to us how a person has the bechira and the choice and the power to tell himself, I don't want to sin. Afilu sha'ah achat. I don't want to be called a rasha lifnei hamakom afilu sha'ah achat. Even though, as we explained, the Benoni, the mahut of his nefesh is not on the level of the Tzadik. It's still 50-50. He still has a pull, a tug of war between both sides, the Benoni. But mitzad halevushim, mitzad the dressing, the clothing, the machshava, the dibur, and the maaseh, he's always able to be mitgaber. He always strives to be mitgaber, to only think the right thoughts, to only say the right words, and to only to do the right things. And chas v'shalom, ben hen mitzad sur mera, vehen mitzad aseh tov. And he said, if you remember, he explained, that's the lashon of the shvu'ah. Remember, when the neshama comes down to the world, the neshama is swearing, making a promise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tehi Tzadik ve'al Tehi Rasha. What's this double language? So he said, Tehi Tzadik, that's the highest level. Aval, even if you can't be a Tzadik, let's say you don't have that type of capability to be on the level of the Tzadik Gamur or even Tzadik Sheno Gamur, lefachot al Tehi Rasha. That much we can for sure ask from you, not to be a Rasha. So the Benoni is the avodah that we have to strive for, right? Hen mitzad machshava, dibur u'memaaseh. Now we continue. Let's finish the perek. Ach, af al pichen tzarich likvoa lo itim gam ken lashit etzot benafsho lihiyot mo'es bara. Here the Baal Tanya tells us, however, a person should not. Thank you for reminding me. This limud should be Leilu Nishmat Estela Esther Bat Rivka. וגם כן שלמה בן ראובן. ושושנה בת חתון. וגם שושנה בת ליזה. וגם רחמים בן אסתר. ומנחם בן שרה. וגם לעילוי נשמת פרידה בת סלחה. Aryeh ben Mordechai. Ben Leah ben Mordechai. So he's saying over here like this. The Baal Tanya is telling us, what did he say till now? Not everybody has the power, is given the type of neshama to become the level of a tzaddik gamur or a tzaddik sheno gamur. However, and remember, what is one of the features of a tzaddik? The tzaddik is his ahava Hashem is called ahava b'ta'anugim, as is mentioned many times. Ahava b'ta'anugim, that he sees only pleasure in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in doing mitzvot. He enjoys the simcha in HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world, is like the biggest ta'anug that he has. All other ta'anugei ha'olam hazeh is mo'es bahem. He refuses them. And he's mo'es bara b'tachlit hamius. He detests all that is ra, absolutely, to the highest level. The Benoni is not on that level. The Benoni is not mo'es bara betachlit hara. He's mitgaber on himself, but he doesn't have those types of feelings of ahava and mi'us of the ra. So should a person just accept that? Should a person just say, okay, listen, so I'm a Benoni, say thank you if I will be a Benoni, which is a tremendous level, as we're learning in the Sefer. However, the Baal Tanya says, a person has to be kovea for himself certain times, lashit etzot benafsho, to think into himself, to think of ideas, of ways and means, lihiyot mo'es bara. little by little to chip at the nefesh de klipa, the nefesh abahamit, to remove as much as possible, to make a crack as much as possible in the nefesh abahamit, which loves to do things that are asur, or worldly, or materialistic. If a person can be mitbonen from time to time, thoughts that bring about mi'us bara, that is something that a person has to do as well. And little by little, to be margil himself, to educate himself in that way. He gives an example. Kegon be'atzat chachamenu Shabbat kuf nun bet, isha chemet mele'at so'ah. Let's say a person is, the Gemara says, is overcome with a ta'ava for a woman. Ta'ava for a woman. So what should he think at that moment? He should think into his mind. Isha, acharei hakol, chemet mele'at so'ah. A sack full of feces. A human being. A human being. And he should picture it like that. And when he pictures it like that, all of a sudden he realizes, what's the attraction here? What's the ta'ava bichlal? Lema mitavim bichlal. Rashi says on the Gemara there in Shabbat Kuf Nun Bet, Rashi says that the ta'avat nashim is a gzerat hamelech. It's a gzerat hamelech. It's something that's not logical. It's not logical. Why? Why should there be? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he put into the Bria, in order for the world to be mitkayem, he put such a thing. But if we think about it logically, bichlal ma, what is it? What is it? Another human being with all the flaws, with all the physical problems, with everything, ma'inyan. So a person, from time to time, a benoni, has to be lashit etzot benavsho, in ways of, that he won't even want to be mitaveh, to be mo'es in the inyan of ta'avot. וכן כל מיני מטעמים ומעדנים נעשים כך, חמת מלא, or food, for example. Let's say a person is overcome with ta'ava for food, for ma'adanim. So he should think for himself, what's going to happen with food afterwards? After it looks amazing. Is a cake. It's mamash. It's a decoration, Shabbat decoration. Acharei hakol, what's the end of this cake? The same end as everything else. And it's not pretty at all, right? So if a person thinks about that, he begins to realize, what's the ta'avot of this world? It's all a trick. It's all a facade. It's fake. It's not real. It's not real. Because when you look deep into it, it's just shum davar. It's worse than shum davar. וכן כל תענוגי העולם הזה חכם רואה הנולד מהם שסופם לרכוב ולהיות רימה והשפעה. All the תענוגי העולם הזה, everything in this world, the physical pleasures, they look good in the beginning, they look good on the outside, but afterwards, you see pizza, you love pizza. Pizza, I like pizza. I didn't eat pizza in a long time, but I'm still getting over the ta'ava for pizza. Pizza. ממש אפשר להתפוצץ from pizza, right? So now you see 2 slices of pizza, and you have this ta'ava, and it's kasher, and everything beautiful. Nachon? And then, what happens afterwards? You want another slice. Eat another slice. It's gishmak, right? And then a whole night he's suffering from a stomachache. A whole night. Azmazasa pizza. What does it do? What trick the Yetzer Hara plays on us? It's mamash unbelievable. V'chen bechol ta'anugei ha'olam hazeh. That's the story with all the ta'anugim. It's important to think into this from time to time, more than from time to time, for a person to really put into perspective what's olam hazeh, what's the ta'avot in this world, what is the real pleasure that is supposed to be in this world, what's the real truth in this world. Even a benoni has a chiyuv. V'hahefech, and he should also think about the opposite. Leit'aneg v'lismuach b'Shem. See, the first paragraph, that's hami'us bara. Now we go to the other side. What's the other feature of the Tzadik? Ahava b'ta'anugim, to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Benoni shouldn't say, well, listen, as long as b'machshava, b'dibur, b'maaseh, I'm okay. I'm not doing anything that's asur. I'm doing my mitzvot. I'm learning my Torah. Everything is fine. No, you have to try to grow. You have to become as much as better as you can. So ahefech, lit'aneg v'lismuach b'Shem, how? על ידי התבוננות בגדולת אינסוף ברוך הוא כפי יכולתו. Rabotai, for example, Shara Bechina in Sefer Chovot Alvavot. Learn it. Learn Shara Bechina of Sefer Chovot Alvavot, to learn Gedulat Hashem, to learn about the Bria, to learn about all the Chasadim that Kadosh Baruch Hu does. When a person learns Musar, when a person learns Sifrei Machshava, Sifrei Ashkafa, he begins to develop little by little ahava towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Af sheyodea benafsho שלא יגיע למדרגה זו באמת לאמיתו, כי אם בדמיונות. Even though the person knows, I'm not really going to be able to reach the highest level, of Ahava b'ta'anugim like Avraham Avinu. It's very hard. I'm not going to be able to reach. He's realistic. He knows he can't reach it. It's only b'dimyonot. It's going to be imaginary. אף על פי כן, הוא יעשה את שלו, לקיים את השבועה שמשביעים תהי צדיק, והשם יעשה הטוב בעיניו. Listen to these holy words, Rabotai. איזה מילים. Look what he just said. He said, Rabotai, what did we promise? What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu make us promise when our neshama came to the world? Tehi tzadik ve'al tehi rasha. So we rest our loins on the al tehi rasha. Okay, I could do that. I'll try. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. But one second. Part of the promise was also tehi tzadik. Yeah, but no worry. The Tanya said it's not for me. He said I can't get there. So what did tehi tzadik? No, so the Tanya says, Bo habibi, rak shniya, boena. We also have to try. We have to strive to be mekayem the shvuah of the tehi tzadik. So even if a person knows that ultimately he cannot reach that high level of tzidkut, of tzadik gamur that he spoke about before, beseder. But we have to do as much as we can. Lo alecha melacha ligmor. You have to do as much as you can. So he says over here, a person has to do what he can do, and Hashem will do the rest. Whatever will be. But I have to try as much as possible with hidbonenut of the type that we just mentioned before, to reach levels as much as possible, more and more and more, closer to the level of what's called the level of a tzaddik. Ve'od, it doesn't stop there. שההרגל על כל דבר שלטון ונעשה טבע שני. A famous פתגם everybody knows. הרגל על כל דבר נעשה שלטון. Habit becomes something that is embedded. You become dominated habit becomes second nature, right? Habit becomes second nature. And that's what he says over here. נעשה טבע שני. So what does he mean to say? וכשירגיל למאס את הרע, יהיה נמאס קצת באמת. When a person trains himself to think these thoughts and not to fall flat on his face always just for ta'avot ha'olam hazeh, but to be mitbonen sach hakol mazeh. What is it? It's nothing. Sach hakol, it's rima v'tole'ah. That's all it comes out to at the end. So even though in the beginning it's only dimyonot, he doesn't really mean it. He's thinking these thoughts, and in his mind he's thinking, yeah, but I'd like to eat it. Right? Aval le'at, a person learns these inyanim, hergel na'asa teva sheni, and you know what happens? He begins to be mo'es a little bit. He begins to start to feel those feelings of the high tzadikim. Uksheyargil esameach nafsho, on the aset tov also. And when he trains himself to make himself happy with Hashem, al yedei dbonenut bigdulat Hashem, so you know what will happen? We have a statement from the Zohar HaKadosh, when a person is mitorer milemata, from Shamayim, when a person awakens himself from down below, from Shamayim they awaken even more. It's a Gemara in Masechet Yomah. The Gemara says, Kol ha-mekadesh atzmo milemata, mekachim oto milemala. A person who's mekadesh himself in this world, what does that mean in this world? He does what he can. Even the baby steps that he does, it creates a itaruta de le'ela from Shamayim. They give him a special siyata dishmaya. You know what type of siyata dishmaya? The Tanya is going to rock us right now with the ending of this perek. Look what he says. Maybe if a person trains himself with the machshavot, it's the whole purpose of learning musar, learning sifrei chasidut, learning machshava, learning all the sfarim of the rishonim, of the acharonim, each one, the heart that they give to us, for the purpose of gaining these thoughts. You know what's going to happen? Listen to this. Ulai ye'are alav ruach mimarom. Maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu will then pour onto him a special ruach from Shamayim. Ve'izke libchinat ruach mishoresh eze tzadik shetit'aber bo la'avod Hashem besimcha amitit. Whoa. He says, you never know. if you work hard at it, if you try to develop feelings of kurva to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though you know I'm a Benoni, aval, I still want as much as possible to taste those feelings that a Tzadik feels, you know what's going to happen? You're right. You as you are, your neshama is a Benoni. Nachon meod. It's very true. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the effort that you're putting in. He's going to give you a reward. You know what the reward will be? There is such a concept that's brought down in the Sfarim HaKadoshim that a nefesh of a tzaddik can be mitaber, a person can become impregnated, so to speak, with a nefesh of a tzaddik that leaves the world. And all of a sudden he has a special siyata dishmaya to become bigger than he was before. Which means the way he wasn't able to reach that level. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is me'areh alav ruach mimarom. Eze ruach? Ruach shel tzadik. A ruach of a tzadik that passed away from the world. And he goes into him, or at least a bechina of that ruach, not the entire. A bechina of that ruach goes into this person, and it gives him an extra boost, a siyata dishmaya, to be mit'aleh, to be mitromem, to become better, to become holier. Kedichtiv simchu tzadikim b'Shem, v'titkayem bo be'emet ha'shevuah she'mashbi'im te'i tzadik, and he will thereby be able to be on his way to fulfill